Love That Podcast with your hosts, Pamela and Larry.
Hey. Well, how
Hello.
are you?
How are y'all doing today? Happy Monday.
Welcome back, friends. All 2.6 of you.
Yes. We actually just reached 150 downloads. That is a very proud milestone for us. I'm very happy for that. This is also, yes, pat yourself in the back.
Ooh.
And also, this is our first time recording at night. We usually record in the afternoon, but with our work schedule, with my work schedule this week, we had to mix things up. So because we're recording at night, I am going to celebrate with an adult beverage.
Yes. And Larry is also drinking his adult beverage out of a giant boot koozie.
It's my first time to use this. I worked last year with Live Nation for concerts, and these were the koozies they were selling for $15.
Oh my
and one just ended in my backpack that day. She did not pay $15 for this boot koozie.
I don't think you're supposed to admit to stealing things.
Well, I didn't say I stole it, Pam. I said it ended up in my backpack. We didn't talk about how it got there. Somebody else could have bought it for me and then put it in my backpack. I don't know.
It just slipped and fell.
This is also my first time drinking a big Dos Equis because I had to go buy a beer big enough to fit in here. And it's the Dos Equis with lime and salt already inside.
Ooh, how's it taste?
It's actually pretty tasty, I have to say. ASMR.
Well, if you were here last week, I got the Dolphin Rona. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not having an adult beverage. I am just drinking a sparkling water.
You're not drinking your Dr. Moo Moo Country Time lemonade?
No, because I am still a positive lady. Oh.
What's this, day 10 with positive for you?
And I'm over it. Over it.
Yeah. I was only 8 days positive and I was over it. So I can only imagine.
Only a couple more days. It can't be that much longer.
Your test today, the positive line was very light. So that's a hopeful step in the right direction.
Tomorrow, we're very hopeful for a negative result.
Absolutely.
And last week, you also, you were telling us you were going to go to a new movie. How was the movie?
Yes. So I've seen 2 movies since we've last spoken. The movie I went to go see that night was called Black Phone. It was a really good horror sci-fi film. Not sci-fi. Horror suspense film.
Is that the one with Ethan Hawke?
Yes, Ethan Hawke's in it, and he wears a creepy mask and he abducts teenage boys. Yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but it's definitely... The reason it's called Black Phone is because the phone is a very huge part of the movie, and it's got a very supernatural storyline. So we love supernatural. So that was on Sunday. And then Monday, I went and saw Thor, the God of Love or something. I'm not into Marvel movies. I just go because my boyfriend likes them and I like my boyfriend. So we do things for our spouses. It was good. There was a few lovey-dovey parts where I literally started snoring on just like to be funny. He didn't find it funny. He got upset with me. So I will not do that anymore. No more snoring at the Marvel movies. Sorry. Also, I wanted to address the name of this episode is Fired for What? ? I don't want people to think that one of us got fired this week. That's not what this episode is about. I am still employed, unfortunately.
Yeah. The podcast has not taken off yet. Come on, guys.
Yeah. Sponsored by Live Nation foam koozies.
$15.
You can buy yours now, and it's used. So I'm going to mark up the price to $15.75, and I'll even autograph it. We are going to talk about jobs today, and some of them that we may or may not have been fired from, and the reasons, and my favorite quitting stories. And Pam and I actually met at a job all those years ago, 19 years ago, at Tia's Tex-Mex in front of the Collin Creek Mall in Plano, Texas.
Oh my God. And if you're a Dallas person, the last time, it was about a year ago that I came through Dallas about a year ago. Collin Creek Mall was a giant rubble mess. It is gone.
Yeah, there's going to be apartments and shops now.
I spent so many of my teen years there. That's
for sure.
It's amazing.
Outside of like hanging out in the alley behind my house with my friends, that mall was like the only unsupervised place we got to go hang out. One of our parents would drop us off at like noon on a Saturday and come through and pick us up at like 5. And they would hand us each $20. And we made that $20 stretch out for the 5 hours that we were there.
Actually, speaking of Collin Creek Mall, that was where my first job was.
Really?
Yes.
What was your first job?
I worked at a kiosk by the food court.
Oh, I hate kiosk people.
And we sold crystal necklaces. Oh,
Do they have healing powers?
probably. and I remember I don't remember much. I didn't work there. I lied on the application so that I could get a job.
That's how I got my job at Tia's Tex-Mex, and where I met you. I had to lie on the application.
No, really?
Because I applied at like 30 restaurants and nobody would hire someone without experience. So finally I lied. And my grandparents at the time owned a carpet store in East Texas. So I used their phone number as the reference for the restaurant that I worked at. And it was called Kellerman's Fashion Floors. But I put on the application that I worked for Kellerman's Cajun Cuisine. And I told my grandma, if you see on the caller ID someone from a 972 number call you, I need you to pick up the phone and say, Kellerman's Cajun Cuisine, how can I help you? Because my grandma's ride or die. And she would have done that for me. But thankfully, nobody ever called to check my reference. But in my first interview with our GM at the time, he was like, tell me about your experience. I was like, I do it all. I do everything in the restaurant. I bust tables. I bartend. I had never worked a day in a restaurant in my life, but fake it till you make it.
Hey, I'm dying. And your grandma is so down. She would
so
still
down.
do it today.
Oh yeah. She was like, all right. 1000%. 1000%. She asks about you every time I see her.
Oh, yes. While working at the mall, though, I remember my boyfriend or ex-boyfriend. It was like, high school boyfriends. But I lied. I was actually like 14, I think. I just like to shop a lot. So I wanted a job so I could get paid. One of my ex-little boyfriends came through and literally stole half the store.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He and his friends came. And then I looked up and everything was gone. And I was like, oh my God. I didn't turn them in either. I didn't know what to do. I just made.
What'd you do?
I just made more necklaces and put them back up on the thing and pretended like it never happened.
Wait, so you made shitty little necklaces at the kiosk? Yes. Oh my God. Buy a handmade necklace from this native Plano woman made by the natives. Oh my. That's I love that. Love that. My first job, I was also 14 and my mom knew the GM. And so they illegally hired me because of child labor laws. I was working in the kitchen at a Sonic drive-in in Allen, Texas when I was 14. I worked the grill and the fryer. So lots of grease burns and things like that a 14-year-old should have no place doing.
No, not
Times were different back then, okay?
Nobody checked. There was no computer system to check your real age.
Our clock in was that thing where you had to line up the paper and slide it in and it would stamp it. And if you messed it up, sorry, you ain't getting paid this week.
Yeah, it was the 90s. It was a trip back then.
It was 1998 for me. That was when I got my first job.
Wow. Yeah, I was somewhere around there. I don't know. Probably 96, 97. I don't know. Somewhere in there. That's a good little first job. What about your favorite job? What's your favorite job you have ever had?
Oy. Lying on my back? No, I'm kidding. I've never gotten paid for that. I've never gotten paid for that yet.
Yet.
My favorite job. Gosh. That would probably I don't know. I would say my most recent job, because I worked there for 10 years and it felt like family, but COVID hit and it ruined everything, including my income. So I had to switch it up and find a new place to go. So I guess being put on the spot with that question, I would have to answer my last job where I worked at the historic Dallas institution for 10 years. So
I would say people knew you there. That was people knew of you at this location. So.
Yeah, my former boss texted me today. A group of people came in tonight looking for me. Is Larry here?
Aww.
But here's the thing. They said, no, he's across the street, and they didn't come see me. So literally across the street, people, literally 30 feet away. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. What was your favorite job? What has been your favorite job?
I think my actual favorite job was I worked with our friend Josh, who we talked about on vacations.
Mm-hmm.
He got me a job working at a law firm. And it wasn't the job.
I forgot about that.
It was because we were broke and I was just finishing my associate's degree. And then I ended up moving for my 4-year degree that summer.
Mm-hmm.
But the perks of a law office were grand. We got paid a stupid amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
We had unlimited overtime. They had a fully stocked, break room area with snacks and meals and drinks and coffees and all the shit. And I was so like, you're a poor college kid. It was amazing. And Josh and I at the time were smokers, and we took a smoke break every 25 minutes. It was amazing.
Again, y'all, this was a different time. Different time. We were non-smokers anymore, but it was good times. It was good times. I made a lot of money that time. I remember that. Y'all, didn't y'all work with Dr. David there? Or no? How was Dr. David ever part of the picture?
He worked there.
Okay. Yeah, Dr. David. That's a whole other episode.
Really? Okay, so you did your favorite job. What about your worst job? What is the like, oh, I would never do that again?
Tied would be Applebee's and PF Chang's for worst jobs I've ever had. And I've had a lot of really crappy jobs. But for the sake of this, we're going to go with Applebee's because I have a fun Applebee's story.
Oh, tell it.
And I don't actually, at my PF Chang's story, I was having a really rough time there, not making a lot of money, struggling. And I don't remember who it was, if it was your brother or if it was me. Somebody posted something about how religious people were leaving on the credit card receipt, I gave Jesus 10%, so why would I give you 20? And leaving bad tips. So your brother and his family came in to visit me at that job one time, and they wrote on the receipt, we leave Jesus nothing, so we give you 40%. And they left me a 40% tip. And that like made my whole week. So I'm always thankful to your brother for that. But my Applebee's story, I would literally work there doubles, 12-hour shifts. And the side work was like back-breaking, grueling side work worse than any place I've ever worked before. And I would walk out of there with $13 a day because it was Applebee's. So the menu prices are low. So even if I got 20%, it was still nothing. And I was at one of those, like, it was like a restaurant strip. So there were 3 restaurants and we were smack in the middle. So it was a really nice steakhouse, a really nice Italian restaurant, and then Applebee's. So when people were leaving the mall, this is in front of the Frisco Mall. When they were leaving the mall, their options were expensive restaurant, or cheap restaurant. So we got all the riffraff. That's literally all that came in. Worst tippers I've ever worked with in my entire life. I mean, just so many zeros. People just not tipping at all. It was the worst. One time this guy left his glasses on the table, but he didn't tip, so I threw his glasses in the trash. And then he came back later looking for his glasses, so I had to pull them out of the trash and give them to him. No. He should have tipped.
Applebee's. Why don't I don't remember you working.
It was I worked there for maybe 3 months tops. And I don't even remember how. Actually, somebody I worked with years ago was working there and was telling me it was great money, this, that, and the other. So I believed them and I went there. So anyway, one night, and this is when I was still in my early 20s and still could go get just bombed in between shifts. And so I remember we went to Bennigan's down the street and got bombed in between shifts. And I was getting ready to come in for the night shift. And my friend who I worked with and got the job with me had tickets to a Stars game that night, but they told him he couldn't take off. So he just quit. So I show up to work and it's just me and another server who showed up, and there's 30 tables in the restaurant. So like, all right, you have these 15 tables and you have these 15 tables. Bye. And just left us to the wolves. And both of our sections filled up crazy. And so I was greeting all the tables like they were a big table, just treating it all as one big table. Hi, what can I get for you? Hi, what can I get for you? Hi, what can I get for you? Pumping out the drinks and coming back. What can I get for you to eat? What can I get for you to eat? And then I got sat with a 10 top of the most redneck, trailer fabulous, probably related to me in some way, shape, or form people. And they were so rude to me. They were snapping their fingers at me and yelling at me and, waiter, get over here. Give me some more lemonade. The worst. And my bosses were on my ass, and I was starting to come down from being drunk, and it was just all too much. And I still had a little bit of life insurance money at the time, so I didn't have to work there. It wasn't like, oh no, if I don't wake up and go to Applebee's tomorrow, I'm going to be homeless. Or else that's the only reason why I would have stayed there, is borderline homelessness. So I got the drinks out to the party of 10, the really rude people, and then I took their food order, and I wrote their food order down on my little piece of paper. I put it in my apron, and I just walked out the back door, got in my car, and went home. So like 20 minutes go by, the managers are blowing up my phone. So finally I pick up and I'm like, hello? They're like, where are you? Your tables are looking for you. And I was like, oh, I'm on the couch at home, boo. Like, sorry. Then Petty Betty here decided to go in the next day for lunch.
No.
Table for one. I did. And looking back on that now, I'm like, how much spit was in my food? I can only imagine.
So
much spit. So that was my worst job ever.
Wow. That was a serious.
Sorry for that long story.
No, I loved it. It was great.
What's your worst job ever?
Oh, easy. Hands down, Ross Dress for Less.
You worked at Ross? I don't think I knew this.
It was.
Oh, bless you.
I only worked there for 2 weeks.
Mm.
And it was the absolute worst job. The people that work there do back-breaking work from the moment they clock in till the moment they leave. It is.
Oh, bless them.
It is a terrible job. And every time I do go to a Ross, I always tell them, I used to work here and I know how crappy your job is. Thank you for being here today because I am so sorry for everything you have to do. And they're
Yes, but
oh yeah, terrible job. Worst job ever. Would never do it again.
I don't know if this falls into the worst job category, but it's the shortest job I think I've ever had because I'm a very stick it out person. Like even with that crappy Crapplebee's job, I stuck it out for 3 months before I finally threw in the towel. So I don't remember at what point in my life this was, if I had life insurance money yet or not. Definitely, because it was anyway. So I had gotten on Craigslist, which was a thing at the time where you could apply for jobs. And so I was applying for all these jobs on Craigslist, and a company reached out to me, one that wasn't like, meet us in a parking lot and let's go door to door selling things. Like, no, thank you.
Right.
So it was called All My Sons Moving in Storage.
Oh.
And I implore them to sue me if they want, because this was the worst. And I'm watching my language here.
I think I've used them before to move.
Really?
Like a million
How was it?
years ago. It was okay. You
So
know, we
they
were kids.
trained us to scam. They were training us to scam. I came in and I clocked in at like 8 or 10 in the morning, whenever. They set me with this man who was like 700 pounds. He had his own special chair made and his own special computer made, and he had a popcorn machine at his desk, and he just constantly was eating popcorn.
I need a popcorn machine.
I don't care for popcorn, but if you give me like a Reese's Pieces machine, honey,
Ooh.
diabetes it is, baby. And so they were training us, and this is another thing, like click here to get a free quote. And so then you put in information, and then we call you 755,000 times. And so we're calling people, hi, I'm calling you with your free quote. Okay, cool. And what's the address of this? Okay, and where are you moving to? And how many bedrooms is it? And then we'd always give them this low number quote. All right, that'll be $150. What? $150? That's so cheap. There's no hidden fees? No, ma'am. $150 in and out. Great. Sign me up. Okay, cool. So that was what I spent half my day doing. The other half was answering phone calls from people who were like, you piece of bleep, mother bleep, son of a bleep. And as they're training me, after we give them the quote for $150, I see the guy typing in $50 fuel charge, $25, labor charge, $35, tacking on all these charges afterwards. So then the rest of my shift was getting cussed at and screamed at and called all kinds of names because we were scamming people. We're telling them, no, $150, that's it. And then after we moved their stuff, we're like, bam, here's your bill, here's the fuel charge, here's the this charge, here's the that charge, and just completely ripping people off, scamming them. And I went on my lunch break and I sat in my car for like 30 minutes debating on, can I do that with my life and be a scam artist for a living? And I just said no, and I drove off and never went back. They didn't even call. They knew.
Wow.
They knew.
Rough.
Yeah. So
And
all my sons moving in storage, I'm flipping you off right now.
And they wait to give you the bill until they're at your new place with all of your stuff in the truck.
Yep.
And they say, pay for it. And you have no option. You have to give them the whatever, $500, $600, or you don't get your stuff back.
Yeah. Or they threaten to take you to court or call the police for theft of service,
Yep.
So take me to court. Take me to court.
Larry is still mad at you. Just so
I am
you know.
big mad. And this was like 2009. Yeah.
That was a minute ago.
Maybe they've changed their policies, but every time I see one of their moving trucks on the freeway, I flip them off.
So the title of this episode, You Were Fired for What, comes from a very specific job that you were fired from. One we actually worked together at, another Mexican place. And I moved on. I actually went to go work at that law office and then moved to the Houston area to finish my college degree. But you continued to work there. And you got fired.
Did. And I because the episode's fired, I have 3 fired stories. So I'm going to tell the first 2, and then I'm going to talk about that one because that one's kind of the most ludicrous. So
wait.
My first time ever being fired, I worked at Sonic for 2 years until I was finally old enough to like apply for jobs elsewhere. So when I was 16, I got a job at a daycare with all my little girlfriends because, I was a little gay boy. So all my friends were girls and they all worked at this daycare and they're like, come work with me, Larry. And I said, okay, girl. So I applied at this daycare. Thank God in the state of Texas, it's kind of a messed up law, but it worked out to my benefit. Men are not allowed to work in rooms with children that are not old enough to speak. for their protection. So, and again, the laws may have changed. This was 2002. Actually, this is the year 2000. And so I wasn't able to work with kids that needed their diapers changed. None of that, because I guess only men molest children. Anyway, that's a whole other topic. So I was glad I didn't have to change their diapers. So I worked with the after school kids. I enjoyed it. They loved me. They wanted to always do hugs, but I was like, high fives only, like high fives. That was like our thing. And the kids loved it. They'd come up and give me a little high five every day after school. And I genuinely loved that job. But all the stuff behind the scenes was really bad. Like the director was like drinking at her desk, like dirty diapers were piling up in the playground. Like kids were like throwing them like footballs. They were changing kids on the same mats that they were napping them on, but not cleaning them in between changing them, and so on and so forth. And so this is back when digital cameras had first came out. I had got me a digital camera and went up in there and was taking pictures of all of this stuff. And I went to the Collin County Children's Advocacy Center with all my proof. So they came in to investigate. The guy walked in and my dumb 16-year-old self waved at him like, hey. And so then everyone knew that I knew him and I'm the reason that he was called out. So they fired me that day. And my reason for termination on the paperwork was for gossiping.
Wow.
Me? Gossip?
Never.
Never.
Wasn't gossiping. I mean, today you could sue for that. You're not allowed to be retaliated against. But
yeah. So then I had other girlfriends who worked at another daycare and they're like, come work here. The pay's better anyway. It's a private, like a frou-frou daycare owned by like, a mom and pop. So I said, oh, okay. So I went and worked at that daycare. This was in McKinney. I'm not going to say names because I believe it's still open. And these are serious allegations. Uh-oh. So I had worked there for a few months again with the after school kids. They loved me. I loved them. I really enjoyed going to work every day and making them laugh. And they made me laugh. And I just really enjoyed it, even though I hate children.
You don't hate children.
Well, I don't
love our children.
I love my friends' children, like their family. Like if something happened to y'all today and no one else in your family would be able to take, I would step up to the plate and change my entire life and take care of y'all's kids. And I mean that on my blood. But
high fives for everyone.
Yes, high fives for nope, sorry, no hugs. Breakfast time, high five. So I had worked there for like 6 months, really enjoyed it. Never got in any kind of trouble. I was always on time. Great after school job. One day I had went to go into and the owner was this creepy old man, which I was already kind of creep vibes. And I was the only male employee. It was such a bunch of young, impressionable women, girls that worked there. And then this creepy old man. And I went into the laundry room to grab something one day. And there was one of those young girls on her knees in front of him, popping up, and he's zipping his pants up. And I'm like, oh my God, I just walked in on that. So I immediately closed the door and I walk out, and the director, her daughter was a teacher there too. So I immediately went and knocked on her door. I said, girl, come here. You're not going to believe what I just saw. I just saw so-and-so on their knees in the thing with Mr. So-and-so. She said, girl, no. And then I went to the next classroom. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, 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 knock. Girl, guess what I just saw? And by the time I had gotten to the last classroom, word had already spread to the front what I was saying. And so they pulled me aside and they fired me for gossiping.
For gossiping.
Literally 2 jobs in a row. I was fired for gossiping. I ain't no gossip.
I mean, it's not gossip if it's the truth.
That part. So yeah. And then they never gave me my last paycheck because I didn't want to go back up there and turn in my polo. Oh. Evil people.
Ew.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're getting to the job that Pam and I worked at that she quit a little time before this, but I was fired for. So I worked there for 4 years. I was the head host. I was on the catering team. I was a trainer, literally everything, and really enjoyed that job and enjoyed the people I worked with. We were literally like a family. I still talk to many of those people today. I work with one of them still currently 14 years later. Literally, this place was great. And we got a new GM. Day one, he did not like me. We had a trainers meeting and he said to one of the other trainers, is Larry really a trainer or is he just coming here for a free meal? Like from day one, he did not like me.
What?
And so I'll never forget, it was Memorial Day, 2009. And you know how Mexican restaurants have like chips and salsa just out for everyone to eat? Well, this was a fajita restaurant. So there was tortillas and sour cream and cheese just out on the front line there all the time. And so that day I wanted a little snack. So I grabbed me a little fresh flour tortilla and went over and put some sour cream and some shredded cheese in it. I turned and went into the little private party room, and I had taken one bite of my delicious sour cream and cheese taco, and he turned the corner and walked in the room. So I wasn't even worried about getting in trouble for taking the food. I was just worried that he was going to catch me eating on the clock. The price of that tortilla wasn't even what I was worried about. So I put the tortilla in a chair really quick and pushed the chair in and acted like I was just, straighten up the table, make sure everything's cool over here. So I go to walk off and he immediately walks over and he pulls the chair out and he points at it and he said, "What's this?" And I said, "It's a tortilla." And he said, "Did you pay for this tortilla?" And I said, "No, it's a tortilla." And he said, "But there's sour cream and cheese in this tortilla. Did you pay for the sour cream and cheese?" And I said, "I did not, but I don't mind doing so." So I immediately turned and went to a computer and just rung up a taco, which is like $5. But I was like, I don't even care at this point. A few minutes later, they pull me aside and they're like, "We're going to need you to go ahead and go home for the day." And I was like, "It's Memorial Day. Whatever will I do?" So I called up my friend Rita, went out on her boat, partied it up all day, had a good old Memorial Day. And on my way home, I called back up there because I knew it would be a different manager. And I said, "Hey, am I in trouble?" He said, "No, you're in no trouble." I said, "Well, I got sent home today." He said, "Yeah, you're fine. Just come in tomorrow. It's fine. You're good." I said, "So I'm not written up or anything." He said, "No, you're fine." I said, "Okay." So I showed up the next day a little bit early because I was a little suspect. So I get there and my name is erased off the floor chart. So I was like, what? And so then he comes and he gets me from the host stand and he pulls me to the back and there's already a witness sitting in there. So I already know some shit's going down. And he was like, "Larry, what you did yesterday is one of the worst things that you can do."
The worst.
And I was like, "Eat a tortilla? Like, what?" And he was like, "You stole from this company. You were a thief and you stole from this company. It's not even the dollar amount. It's the principles." And I'm crying like a baby because I have never been accused of stealing except for this koozie. So
4 years though. This is not like I just popped in and
and I'm some crackhead over here stealing some.
Yes.
And so I signed my little termination paperwork and I walked out of there crying, like, what am I going to do? Like, this is my family. And that was one of the darker moments of my life. Let me just say, within 3 weeks of that happening, all the other gay people on staff were fired.
Really?
So if you add the dots together, hello.
Yeah.
But funny story, a year later, that same person reached out to me and asked if I'd come back and work part-time to help out because they were short-staffed. And I agreed to, but I said I only wanted to work Monday through Friday because my desk job at the time was Monday through Friday and I wanted to have weekends off at both jobs. And he agreed to it. And then I showed up for my first day and the head trainer was like, "That's not fair. Why does he get to work Monday through Friday and not everybody else?" So then the manager's like, "Unfortunately, we're going to have to take you off the schedule because you can't work weekends." Screw that place. La Hacienda Ranch on Frankfurt.
We're just dropping names. I actually was let go immediately from that place as soon as I gave them my 2 weeks notice.
Oh, I remember that.
I used to work breakfast for this group. I don't remember what they were. They would come in every week and I'd have to get to work at 6 a.m. to start prepping breakfast for them. And there was only me and one other girl who would do this. So we worked together. I don't even remember, Thursday mornings. So I'm there. I already have my 2 week notice because I am a professional gal. And I typed up a wonderful 2 week notice. It is wonderful. It is nicely written. And I tell the girl I'm working with, "Hey, I'm going to turn in my notice. So only I'm going to work a couple more weeks of this breakfast before I'm going to move on to my other job." She immediately runs to the GM and tells him, "What am I going to do? Oh my gosh, I'll never, loses her mind. He pulls me aside within 2 seconds and says, "Are you turning in your notice?" And I was like, well, yeah, I was going to talk to you about it later. And I hand it to him. He throws it in the trash and says, "Goodbye."
Wow.
I didn't steal a tortilla.
Right? You weren't a thief. You were doing things right. Was working at Tia's. I think I worked there for 2 or 3 years. And then they closed the Tia's and West Plano, renamed it Eddie P's and tried to revamp it, make it this cool, hip, margarita bar, whatever, whatnot. And so they asked me if I would like to transfer over and be part of the Eddie P's team because they were trying to, they wanted a young staff. And I was 20 at the time, 21 maybe. And so I transferred over there and enjoyed it. I loved it. But that place was cursed. Even their menus, there was a typo. They wanted to disassociate themselves from Tia's completely. We weren't allowed to say that we were affiliated, even though we had the same owner. Nothing. But the margaritas listed on the menu, there was a typo. They were called Margatias. No. Yeah, not even on purpose, but they couldn't afford to change it. So we went with it. You want to try our Margatias? And the caller ID when we called people showed up as Tia's Tex-Mex. And when we ran people's credit cards, it still said Tia's Tex-Mex.
No.
So anyway, I was an office manager, backup bartender, waiter, and trainer there. I worked there for quite some time, and then my mom passed away while I worked there. Like, I was there when I got the phone call the night that she passed away, and that's still a whole other topic. So I got a lot of money from that. Like, after she died, I got almost $200,000. And so I was still like, I'm going to be humble and continue to work, and I would still go to work, you know. And then they got this new manager, and he just did not like me. He was on my case the entire time. And I remember one day he was literally walking behind me and stepping on the heels of my shoes. You know, pick up your pace, pick up your pace. You're walking too slow. You need to walk with purpose, walk with purpose. And finally I just said, fuck this. And I got in my car and drove off. And as I drove off, he was chasing after me to get me to stop. And I almost hit him with my car, you guys. But I did it because I'm not that crazy. I just wanted him to think that I was going to. He died a few years later in a car accident. R.I.P. I mean that, R.I.P. But years and years and years and years and years and years later, I ended up back at the Tia's that you and I worked at, and I got rehired there because they were hiring, and I wanted to, you know, go back for the nostalgia, just to see what things were like. That was actually the last place I saw my mom. She came to visit me at work, and, you know, so it was that place that had a lot of memories with me. So I was very excited to go back and work there, and I worked there for 3 weeks. And then the manager went in for a conference call in the office, and he came out and informed me that we were closing down effective immediately, and I needed to help them clear the place out of anything perishable. And so, bitch, we turned up. I was drinking margaritas from the machine. I was drinking beer from the machine. We were taking shots. Like, it was just wild. But then I was also crying at the same time. I remember I went to the host stand and I grabbed the floor plan because it like had a picture of the booth where the last place I saw my mom was. I was crying. And so then they put me on front door duty. So I literally sat at the front door with a pitcher of margarita in a straw, crying like, and as cars would pull up, I'd be like, we're closed, guys, we're closed. Yeah. But they wouldn't let us take any alcohol. They said that was against CABC rules, so we couldn't take the alcohol, but we could take all the food we wanted. So all the guys in the kitchen, they took all the food, and then me and one of the assistant managers went back the next day because she still had a key, and we got all the alcohol. And we had a huge backyard party where they grilled up all the meat, and we had fajitas and steaks and rice and you name it. And then we brought all the alcohol and provided the alcohol, and we had one last final hurrah party that I'll never forget.
That's such a sweet little moment, though.
Yeah.
From crying out the front door. I can't imagine somebody, you know, you're a core memory of someone in Plano that went to go eat, and there's a crying dude with a picture of margaritas out front saying, we're closed. I don't know. We're done.
I'm so sorry. That's it. So those are all my crazy work stories. I don't have any more in the chamber.
That was a lot of being let go from jobs.
I know. I've quit a lot of jobs too.
Where else do we work? Oh, we did work at like a call center.
The eye place. That eye place.
They're closed now. We can talk about them. It's okay.
Okay. Elite Eyewear. This was Elite Eyewear. They had a warehouse over in like the warehouse district of Carrollton. And I worked there after my mom died, so I didn't really need the job. It was just like, oh, I get to go work with my friend Pam. But Pam was higher up in the food chain than me, so she had her own little office on the other side of the building, and I was in the damn call center with all the scrubs and the scallywags, okay? And, you know, I'm up in there bougie. For your birthday that year, do you remember? I had On the Border cater the entire building's lunch for your birthday. Because I could afford it. I could afford it, girl. I had the empanadas on deck, honey.
I do love some On the Border empanadas, though.
I know you do. So that's why I drove my ass to On the Border like the week before and set it all up and made a payment and was like, I need to feed, 100 people. It's my friend Pam's birthday.
Oh, my God.
I fed the whole office for your birthday.
Wow. You also pranced out of that job, too. I remember that. You were like, I'm done. Bye, girl. And you like,
I don't
literally
even remember.
I don't know why. Somebody made you mad, or a call made you mad, and you were like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm leaving.
I think I worked there for 4 months.
Yeah.
This beer is really good.
Oh, we'll have to give it a try. So we definitely have worked together, and we've had some good moments and some rough moments working together. Do you have a favorite or a least favorite moment of the jobs we've had together?
Nothing is really jumping out at me except for when we worked together at the eyewear place. I used to wear padded butt underwear to make my butt look bigger. And I remember one time you told me it didn't make my butt look bigger. It just made me look like I had gained weight. I remember that, bitch.
Good. Don't you want an honest friend? Like I told you honestly.
You're right. You're right. And looking back on it, it did make me look like I was built like SpongeBob, you know. Now I'm built like Patrick, but you know, it
That
happens.
is so funny. I remember nothing and you remember everything.
It's weird. I have the weirdest memory. I couldn't tell you what I had for dinner yesterday, but I could tell you what Pam said to me in 2004.
I remember when we worked at Tia's and I was dating a boy that we worked with at the time.
Ugh.
It was a short romance, whatever it was. But he lived close to the restaurant. So
So it's convenient.
it was convenient. I would sleep there, go to work in the morning. It was great, whatever. And I remember you would get so mad because he'd be like, I need to have a bathroom break. Can I take your car? Because he didn't have a car. And he's like, I'm going to take your car back to my house and I'll come back. And you're like, absolutely not. You are not. You would just lose your mind on this guy. And then he would go and take my car and you would lose your mind on me. You're like, he cannot touch you. You just didn't like him. I don't know.
I did not.
But I remember that. I remember you stuck up for it. You were just, don't touch your car. And I don't think he
Get
ever
your
did
own
again.
car.
I think that was the last time. You were just over it at that point.
Girl, I put the smack down. I was only 19 then.
You were. Well, it was a nice trip down memory lane. But you know what
Always.
I am loving? I'm loving something on the internet.
These are Pam's favorite things. What's on the internet? Whoa.
Love that.
Love that. Thank you again, Joseph. I'm going to thank you every week because I love
Mhm.
I love that literally. The thing I am loving, or the person I am loving on the internet this week, his name, please go check him out, is Adam J. the Lawyer. And many of you may know who Adam J. the Lawyer is. He is very TikTok, I would say, semi-famous. He doesn't have as many followers as a lot of the viral people. 500K, 550K, nothing to, jealous, but not like I'm bashing that in the least bit. He is a California employment lawyer. So that's why I'm tying it back to jobs here. But we love Adam because he is so pro-women and so pro-choice that he makes the best, funniest videos ever, that he has been named Pumpkin Spice Lawyer. And he is so into it. He makes shirts. Well, he doesn't make them. He gets small woman-owned businesses to make shirts with his quotes on it. And it'll be like, I'm pro women doing whatever the F they want to do with their bodies. That doesn't involve me. It has nothing, it's, do you, girl. And he's just a wonderful human. He gives sound advice about employment questions, about jobs, and he does his best to help anybody he can. So we love Adam J.
Yes. Props to you.
Lawyer. Give him a check out.
Hey.
Hey. You know what else I have for next? Do we have time? Do we have time to be an Am I the Asshole?
Oh, for sure.
Am I the asshole?
Love it.
I love that so much. Joseph, you're so cute. Anyway, I have one. Do you have one today or am I the solo today?
I do not. Yes.
Oh, well, I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about this. Okay. This is titled AITA for leading a mutiny against a new uniform policy and getting a guy fired.
Mm.
So, this gentleman, I work as a security guard. Me and my team have a traditional worn, typical police style uniform when we're on duty. We recently got a new site manager who wanted to change our image and imposed one of the concierge style uniforms with a blazer and a tie, despite all of us objecting to it because it was uncomfortable, impractical, and we all hated the way it looked. The manager told us the uniform change was coming, whether you liked it or not, because the one thing he cares about more than anything is presenting the right image. So after we began wearing the new uniform, my team, at my instruction, began to deliberately make ourselves look as gross and slovenly as possible. For example, we would spill food and drink on our uniforms on purpose and not wash them or iron them prior to our shift. One guy made the point of wearing his uniform when he went to the gym and worked out before coming on duty. That it was crumpled and drenched of sweat and reeked. We would drag our blazers through the dirt and the mud and wear our shirts half untucked. When I needed to sneeze, I would openly and in front of clients sneeze into my tie and loudly blow my nose like it was a handkerchief. Also, at the
That's nasty.
At the end of every shift, when writing our reports, each of us would litter the report with mentions of how bad our new uniform was and how it made the job more difficult. Complaints about our appearance rocketed, and the site manager held an emergency meeting where he screamed at all of us, calling us selfish assholes because we refused to be cooperative. So he was eventually let go because he couldn't manage us effectively. Before he left, he told me I was the biggest piece of shit he had ever met and was the ringleader of this whole thing.
Goals.
So I'm asking, am I the asshole for my actions? I don't think so. But the fact that he was fired and his family is the thing that has me considering maybe I am.
Here's where I'm playing devil's advocate here, because as someone who, works in an industry where the uniform, I've been at my job for 8 months and the uniform's changed 3 times. It sucks. And it's something that it's not fun. Like, why do you want it? Everyone hates change, especially if it's something more comfortable to something less comfortable. It sucks, but it's your job. So, like, I don't know. Like, if my boss came in today and said, I'm going to need you to start wearing a blazer, I would effing hate it. But I would quit my job or start wearing a blazer. And I wouldn't take a blazer and run it through the mud. I mean, that just makes you look bad. I don't want to look bad at work. I don't know. I totally get why he did it, but I just don't. I think that if you're in that situation, you're an adult, you should find a new job where they have a uniform you like, or quit, or wear the uniform.
For sure. Now, Reddit did vote, almost 1,000 votes. He is indeed the asshole. But I will say, I think there's some poor management happening there, because you should have been written up. You should have been talked to. You should have been like... The whole idea of working out and coming to work stinky and sweaty.
Yeah, no. There's a hygiene policy.
Nose. Yeah. Snot on your tie, not a cute look. No. So, yeah, I think there should have been some more management stepping in. But, yeah, kind of a jerk. You have to be a grown-up. If you want grown-up money, you have to be a grown-up at your job.
Yeah. Yep. That's what you're paid to do.
Exactly.
Show up and shut up.
Exactly. What do you have going on for the week now, Mr. Larry?
Girl, my job is working me to the bone, honey, and I ain't making no money because it's been slow, but I'm working every day. I only have 1 day off in the next 7 days, so that's fun. So that's it. What about you?
I'm hopefully going to eventually test negative one of these days.
That's you will.
I hope so. One of these days. And when that happens, I will need to get out of the house and do some errands and get some stuff done, because it feels like my life has been on hold for 10 plus days now.
It's going to happen for you. I promise.
Yeah, hopefully next time we have good news. No more golf.
Also, I want to plug that I have a merch store online, and there's some Larry the Fairy merch as well as some Love That podcast merch. Hey. And the website for that is tee.pub/LIC/Larry the Fairy. That's tpublic/Larry the Fairy. I'll have the link in the description below. And don't forget to get a podcast shirt or stickers. And also, I've got another Live Nation event in the books that is coming up Saturday, September 17th. And I'm sending all the positive vibes out on the internet right now towards Pam's direction, that she'll be able to come to Dallas that weekend and come wig out with us, because the theme is Big Texas Wig Off. So they're encouraging everyone in the audience to wear wigs, and there's going to be contests and prizes, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I will post next week or in the following week when I get the information, links to buy your tickets. Tickets are $10 in advance, $15 at the door. Yeah. And we'll be doing contests on here to give tickets away.
Awesome. Come meet us. Come hang out and enjoy Larry's show, because it is an amazing show with amazing performers. It's going to be awesome.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We love that.
We love you. And we will talk to you all next Monday. Love that.